Ladies and gentlemen, now hosting the RizzoCast, put your hands together for Steven Risotto!
What's going on, everybody, and welcome. This is episode number 61 of RizzoCast. I almost got the numbering wrong, but it is episode 61. And I'm Steven Risotto along with Jasper Lindsay. And today we have a very special guest. She is a high school baseball player at San Mateo High School. And she was recently the only female on her team. And she also participated in a game where there were 3 female athletes on the field. Obviously an awesome story. And we're pleased to have Ashley on the show. Ashley, good afternoon. How you doing today? Thanks for coming on.
I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so we want to get into kind of your career as a whole, and obviously COVID-19 hit in like the midst of your freshman year last March. It kind of shocked everybody. Your season ended, my career ended, Jasper's career ended. Do you remember where you were like when all of that kind of went down and all of that happened?
Yeah, I was really looking forward to we had played one league game and I was really looking forward to hopefully getting a couple starts and really like building my high school career so then I could maybe move on to maybe playing varsity the next year.
And take me through kind of the events that like shut down the baseball season. How did all of that happen? Did you get like a text from the coaches? Did the school make an announcement saying like everything shut down and baseball kind of just went down with it? How was that in terms of finding out, and how did you guys deal with that in the early goings?
Yeah, I think it started when like everybody was thinking about school, whether or not it would close, and then we got notice on a Thursday that our last day would be the next day, and then baseball hoped to keep playing, and then we got notice on that Friday that baseball was also not playing, and then the next Monday is when the shelter in place for California started.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I remember where I was. We were in the middle of I think, a game against CCSF, and it was just we had everyone come on the field and be like, "Hey, we're done. We're not doing this." Yeah, and it was honestly crazy. But I mean, you're also like you play 2 or 3 other sports: water polo, basketball. I mean, during COVID, they obviously had to pick one. What went into your decision to pick baseball?
Originally, I was hoping to play. Well, normally they have schools where you can only play one sport a season to prevent injuries and to keep us safe. But this year, due to COVID, we were given the option of playing multiple sports. So I was planning to play water polo as well, but then the schedules overlapped. So there would only be like 4 games where I wouldn't have any conflicts anywhere. So it wasn't worth it. So I went with the sport that I've been playing for like all my life, basically, which is baseball.
Yeah, no, I mean, and what is it about baseball that really inspires you and is your favorite sport?
It's just baseball, I guess. I mean, I just kind of love it. I started because my brother did, and I wanted to do everything my brother did when I was younger. So I started playing. I was around baseball all my life, and then I started playing when I was 5 in T-ball and just kind of went from there. And it never really made sense to switch over to softball because I was happy where I was.
Yeah, were there any pro ball players growing up that you really looked up to?
I loved Buster Posey. Um, because you're so good at everything he did. I also really liked Madison Bumgarner for his just like kind of crazy outings
Yeah.
during the World Series. Is so I guess those two.
Yeah, I mean, baseball's been moving to become a pretty more equitable sport. I mean, the Giants have their female head coach, Ashley Nakin. The Marlins have Kim Ang. But I mean, this is only the tip of the iceberg for creating equity in a pretty male dominant sport. From your perspective as a female athlete, what does baseball have to do to make its sport more accessible to female athletes and more welcoming as well?
I guess start young, which I've actually seen the MLB trying to do, and there's programs like Baseball for All, which is really working on starting to get youth involved when they're young so that they can hopefully stick with it. But it's also, as you said, it's getting like the people the people you can see rather than just like behind the doors of like the that needs to change, but also like the public eye, um seeing coaches, seeing managers, and all of that is just really important, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. And I mean, are there any myths, I guess, about females playing male dominant sports that you can kind of help us debunk? I mean, I know there's a lot of stigma surrounding it still, sadly.
um I guess one of the myths is that a woman is never going to be able to keep up, which is genetically true, but like there's other ways where you can work around it. You can, first off, if you just like work really hard, you're gonna be able to hold your ground. But if you have like good mechanics, learning good mechanics young is gonna make a really big impact, because it doesn't help if you're the strongest man alive if you don't know how to throw a baseball.
Oof. Yeah, and I got a question about water polo. This is kind of way off topic, but like it's important and it needs to be addressed here. Do you touch the ground in water polo, or like are you swimming? Are you treading water? Like like are you standing in water polo? How does that work?
Okay, so water polo, you're nobody is allowed to touch the floor of the pool unless you're the goalie. The goalie is allowed to, but in most pools, it's deeper than like you are tall. But in San Mateo High School's pool, which is not up to like the normal regulations, um, it's fine for high school, but like you can't play it. It's not college regulation. It's too short on one side, so like you're not allowed to touch the floor. And if you do, and you do it obviously, then like the other team gets the ball.
I would pretend that like I'm touching the floor, right? Like I would, or no, I would pretend that I'm treading water and like I'd be actually touching the floor. But like if it's too deep to where I can't do that, that just seems so wild to me. I don't know why. I don't know. Jasper.
Yeah. I mean, well, water polo, you're treading the water the whole time, right? Do you think that's helped you on the baseball field at all with all the quick movements that you have to make, especially on the infield?
Yeah, I definitely do think that it's helped. Because as a goalie, I do have to tread water when I'm not at home for the entire game. So it has really helped me with my endurance and strength, which definitely aids in like being able to keep up in baseball. Yeah.
So your stats page says that you play third base and catcher. Um Both are like, I mean, third base, I would always be afraid to play third base because you get absolute seeds shot at you. And um if I'm afraid of playing third base, I mean, I wouldn't even think to strap on the gear. So what's just kind of like your favorite like position? Is it third base? Is it catcher? Where do you kind of identify more?
My favorite position is actually pitching. I'm not sure why it's not on my stats page. Um, but I guess catching would be my second favorite, because like you're always involved. You're always doing something at third base. Like I've had games where I would just kind of sit there and I fielded one ground ball. Like that's not that interesting.
Yeah.
um, but it's the greatest feeling to get an out in some way, whether it's like a strikeout or throwing somebody out or anything. So I guess that's why I gravitate towards pitching and catching so much, is you're so involved all the time.
I think we need Max Preps to update their page.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
calling on Max Press right now. Get Ashley Stewart's page updated.
Yes.
I mean, you're a lifelong ball player, so what have been like the biggest adjustments you've had to make going through the different levels? And I mean, yeah, I guess going from little league to high school, what have been the biggest adjustments you've seen?
I guess I've been really thankful that I've grown up with like a good group of kids. Like all of the people in my little league knew who I was, so I didn't really have any of the stigma as a lot of people might face. But then when I got to high school, there were people that like I didn't know, and it was fine for the most part, like on my team because I did know most of my teammates before I went in. But like there was one school where the crowd was definitely being very loud with their opinions on me being out there, and so it's definitely always, it's never nice to hear, but it also gives me the opportunity to like kind of quiet them if I do something well. Like there was one game a couple weeks back where it was bases loaded, one out. We were the home team and it was the top of the seventh. Yeah, top seven. Because our pitcher had gotten hurt in the inning before because he got hit by a pitch in the back and was out for the game. And I struck out the last two to end the game. And that was like the greatest feeling because it finally got the parents to be quiet.
I mean,
Yeah.
those are the scenarios you like play in your head in the backyard too, when you're just pretending and
Yeah.
throwing the ball at a fence. Like, that's crazy. I mean, I can't even imagine how awesome that felt.
Yeah, it's always a great feeling.
Yeah, I read.
Screw them. Sorry.
Of course, Steve. Yeah, and I read this season too. You played on a team with two other girls, so it would have been three altogether. I'm pretty sure a fourth was even supposed to play, but she got
Yeah.
scratched for some reason. Did you understand like how the gravity of the moment when you all three took the field?
Honestly, I don't think I really understood until, because I was aware that the Chronicle was going to do an article because my coach had told me, but I really wasn't like thinking about it. I didn't think about how big of a deal it was because like my brother had gotten shout outs in like the local San Mateo paper and stuff. So I didn't think about it until like I heard all of some of my like dad's coworkers saying that they read the article, or like you guys saying that they read the article. So I didn't really realize.
Yeah, well, we read the article and now we're here. So there's so many like as you mentioned, the people in the stands kind of voicing their opinions about the whole situation. Like if you had the chance to like say anything to them, like just talk to all the haters, like what would you kind of tell them? Like what would you tell all the people that just have, they're so stuck in their ways, that have their minds made up that baseball is, that's a nice gulp of water there. Baseball is a a men's game. Like what would you say to all those people that say that?
I guess wait to see who you're talking about before you say anything. Because times are definitely changing. Like I've seen there was this camp, I guess you could call it, but that MLB did recently. I think it was a year ago, called MLB Grit. And like I saw a ton of girls who were super good from all over the place. And I mean, yeah, you're always gonna find somebody who might not be great, but you're also gonna find somebody who is great. And you gotta wait until you see who you're talking about. You can't just like judge because of their gender, because there's a chance, there's a high probability that they're gonna be great if they're out there. There's a reason for them to be there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I actually had someone come on this podcast a few months back, named Louisa Gauchi, and she is actually a college baseball player from Australia. So she had an unbelievable accent, and for some reason, that's all I could remember from that interview. No, but what does it mean to kind of like be accepted by your teammates, your coaches, and having them look at you as just kind of another player?
And it means everything, I guess, because if I didn't have the acceptance when I was younger, I don't think I would have been able to like be here today. Um, if I was constantly told no, because it's not easy to hear that for anybody, but if it's just for the reason of your gender, it's like, what can I do about it? And I feel like that hearing no hurt um would have really hurt me, and probably would hurt and hurts a lot of other girls who want to play baseball.
Yeah, and softball, and I'm sure you've heard this so many times, people saying, "Oh, well, why don't you play softball?" Softball is the sport that a lot of girls turn to when they get to high school and college. Was softball like ever thought in your head, or has it just always been strictly baseball?
It was a thought. I do remember when I played softball for one season because a local team needed like somebody to catch for them every once in a while. So I just subbed for them, but as it just wasn't the same. I mean, it's similar and all, but it's like comparing an apple to an orange. They're just not the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I too have a sister who plays softball growing up. So I mean, she watched me playing baseball. She really loved the game, but I mean, she was forced to choose softball just because of, I guess, what society expects of female athletes in sports. Yeah. So we mentioned earlier which pro athletes you looked up to, but I was wondering if there's been anyone, whether it's a family member, a coach, maybe even a celebrity, who's really inspired you on this journey, and just to keep pushing and always, yeah.
I guess there's been two. My brother, because he's always just been in my back corner and always been there for me, and definitely was the reason why I started playing in the first place. But also, I took a class this year in school, Renaissance Leadership, and the teacher gave me a book written by Abby Wambach, who is a soccer player. And reading that book like just kind of reminded me of why I'm still playing baseball, and I guess like the power I can hold if I keep playing and stuff. So I guess those are my two people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read somewhere where you went to Cooperstown, which makes me completely jealous because that's like on my bucket list. And like on my bucket list, it's a few things. So right now, like the most realistic one at this point is to sit in a kayak in McCovey Cove during a game. And I want to try to shoot that off during this year. Second one is Hall of Fame. Third one would probably be hit up all 30 of the ballparks. But the Hall of Fame, like that's pretty cool. I know a lot of people go down there for tournaments and such. What was it like kind of walking through the Hall of Fame, going to Cooperstown and having that experience?
And it was great. Just kind of it's Cooperstown. It's the home of baseball. Like it's all baseball. That's all they do. And so it was awesome like seeing the special area, the league of their own like special area. That was cool, and seeing all the plaques and it, the tournament itself. The reason that I was out there in the first place was like the um that was also interesting because I had been looking forward to it since I was probably 8 or so. That was always going to be like the penultimate end of my little league career. And then normally, or not normally, but often there's a team of all girls that'll go. But that year there was nobody. So it was like a ton of teams, but I was the only girl there. And it was kind of wild to be there.
Mm.
Um, so it was just a great experience.
So baseball in terms of, playing it right now in high school, um, even like the best baseball players have a plan B. How far are you kind of planning on taking your career in athletics? And do you kind of have like an option like of what you want to do moving forward with your life?
I mean, the dream since I was little was the MLB. Granted, I don't think that's happening. Like, I don't think I'm good enough for that. But I'd love to play in college. I kind of have like two options of like whether or not I'll play in college. If I don't play in college, I'll probably do like something marine biology, oceanography kind of realm, um, and focus more on academics. But it would be awesome to play in college. So I guess that would be the next step, ideally.
College baseball for sure. Yeah. You said Marine. I thought you were going to say going to the Marines. I was like, wow, that's
No.
completely different than, yeah, I'll play college baseball, but I guess my backup option would be going into the Marines. No, but marine biologist, yeah, definitely awesome. So that's Ashley Stewart, everybody. Go ahead and head out to San Mateo High School next year to watch her play. Ashley, I really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, Ashley.
Welcome. Glad
You
to
guys
be here.
You guys could follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at RizzoCast. Check it out. New episodes coming up. And this was Jasper's debut episode. So I guess, Ashley, do you have like a report card for how he did?
I think pretty good. I think the questions were pretty good. So I'd give you a solid A.
Okay, yeah,
Solid A.
I
Wow,
give him
there
an
we go.
A2. I give him an A2. Nicely
Incredible.
done. Nicely done. And look forward to some more episodes. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. And thank you guys for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.